It is my pleasure to welcome Dana Dunford with Hemlane. We have had a long-standing relationship with her and her company, and they've just done a great job for our investors. I know many of you listening are probably already using this product, but if you're not, it's worth checking out. You know, I do a lot of software demos on the channel. This one provides something a little bit more than software, so it's kind of like the digital service, but there is some real world component that goes along with it. And I wanted to bring Dana back on the show because they've added a lot of things over the couple of years that we've been working with them. Dana, welcome back. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me again, Jason.
It's great to have you. And give us the elevator pitch for Hemlane, if you would. If someone's an investor, not for raising money, but if someone's an investor, they've got a bunch of properties and they've tried different things, and they've tried property managers, they've tried self-management, and most people like self-management a lot better, but with the right tools, I would say that's critically important.
Yeah. So Hemlane is the property management platform where you can self-manage your rental properties from anywhere. And what I mean by that, just diving more into that elevator pitch, is that there's no one size fits all. You might have a property down the street from you and you just need software. And then the next day you're traveling with Jason, you're out on a yacht with him, and suddenly you need full management where you have repair coordinators, a local leasing agent to find and place a tenant. And so what we do is we provide that platform that gets you whatever you need, but we keep you in control. So 100% of the rent directly to you, including late fees, no upcharges on maintenance or repairs. Everything is completely transparent to you.
So someone can self-manage and get help leasing their property up during that transition, that tenant turn, if they're non-local, which most of our investors are not investing in the local market because they can just get better deals elsewhere. And they can also, once they have the tenant or even in between, have repairs handled and get some repair assistance too, right?
Yeah, that's correct. There's a ton of different services, which I'll show you guys all in a moment here. But the most beloved service is repair coordination 24/7. We also have services like Eviction Shield. So when your tenant's late on rent, that stressful situation doesn't fall on you. We have a certified mediator who steps in for you.
Okay, great. Well, Dana, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and let's take an actual look at our way around the software.
Great. So here we are, we're on your dashboard. This is just if you want to see, what's your occupancy, what's late, what your financials look like. Usually you don't have to spend too much time here because your tasks will tell you exactly what to do. So you can go to your tasks here and it will tell you everything you need to do to be on top of your property management. This would be everything from getting set up like this. This is for a rental assistant. So if you want a rental assistant to come in and manage tenant inquiries, you go ahead and get that set up. You have a tenant screening report that you need to request. This is the background check, etc. So you'll have different types of requests in here or tasks for you to do. And as long as you follow these, then you should be golden. And then you'll get notifications, summary emails, as well as responses to messages based on what you have set up in our system for what you want us to do on the admin side versus what you're doing in the day-to-day.
Okay, so this is a demo account, right?
This is a demo account. Yep.
Go back to that dashboard. We got to fix something right away. This demo account has a problem. It says 25% occupancy. That's no good. No investor would be happy with that.
This is definitely an account where exactly if you see this 25% occupancy, that would be very, very bad for you.
So that's maybe a good place to start since this is a demo account. Okay.
Yep.
So how do we first market the property? Okay, we've set up our account with the software, and now we have a vacancy and we want to lease the property. What do we do?
Yep. So you'll go over here to, well, first you can start with services. So if you are not local, you can choose, do you want to use our tenant placement, which is self-guided tours, or a local agent down here, connect with a local agent to find and place a tenant. And that will be, much more hands-off. If you want to do it yourself, you'd go to this marketing tab and it would say what's vacant, what's occupied, and you would go through here and the terms, a lot of this will pre-populate. But we'll put things in here like are pets allowed? If they are, what do you want to charge? And we'll let you know how much you should be charging and pet rent and stuff like that. So we'll go through this process with you. We also have AI in here. So if you have writer's block, you can just use AI text. I don't love a lot of property management solutions that say AI this, AI that, because a lot of them have fair housing violations. They say the wrong thing to tenants, and there's a huge risk there for you. Rest assured that our model makes sure that you don't have those fair housing violations so that it doesn't say things like great family neighborhood. Once you do this, Jason, and you turn on your advertising, it will go ahead and syndicate out to all the top listing websites. And this is a demo account, but I could click on any of these and view my listing on those websites. And then if I go here to click view listing, I can see what my listing is going to look like on those websites. So this would be a condo. You can do single family homes is the largest type of property type that we have in here, but you can do apartment complexes as well.
Okay, so we've put the property into the advertising syndication. It's listed in a whole bunch of places. Now leads are coming in, tenants are expressing interest. How do we handle those leads? How do we show them the property? And how do we screen them?
Yeah, great question. So you can set up in the dashboard here your showings of when you're available. Or if you're using our self-guided tours, we'll have showings 7 days of the week. Or if you're connected to one of the local agents who's going to physically show the property in person, they'll have their showing calendar in here.
Okay, so there's 3 options here, right? If the property happens to be local to you, your calendar, your availability for showing it yourself. Okay. If you have your own like employee or, a close agent that you're working with or property manager, that could also be their calendar, right? So
exactly.
That's one way to do it. Then the second way is to use a virtual showing, which means it's not really virtual because the tenant does go and see the actual property, right? And I want to talk about how you let them in, how the lockbox works and that kind of stuff. So it's virtual for you because you don't go with the tenant. You don't accompany the tenant, but the tenant goes to actually see the property and escorts themselves there, right?
Yeah, that's our fastest growing product. And part of the reason is we found that to reduce days on market, which means more money in your bank account because you don't have vacancy, that self-guided tours has the fewest number of days on market because you can show the property every day. So if a tenant says, I am interested in the place, those self-guided tours, we're going to have a leasing assistant reach out to them, get them scheduled for that day before they view any other properties. And then we use Jason biometrics. So we're going to have the tenant hold up their ID to their face and we scan it. We do a background check on them and then we keep their ID on file as they're going through the showing. And then we have someone there on the phone and via text message to make sure they've gotten into the property. It's a single use code. So that code changes every single time with the digital lockbox. They would go and tour the property. Once they lock up, we are confirming with them they're locked up. Then we ask them, how did you like the place? Do you want to apply? Should we send you the application? And so that is all being done through self-guided tour technology.
When you say you're having people do that or AI and chatbots are doing that?
Yeah, it's actually physical humans.
Wow.
And part of that, the reason is, Jason, for having people there is it makes a huge difference. If you think about the process of a leasing agent, it's very much sales, but it's just sales to tenants. And so having it where if you are not at the property, right, and you're doing a self-guided tour, if they're talking to an AI chat agent or something like that, they're going to be like, well, what happens if something goes wrong in my house? Who's going to fix it? And they might choose another property instead because they don't think someone's there. So we definitely still think you should have that human touch there.
Okay, so what is the deal with getting this lockbox? It's your lockbox, I assume, right? And can you show us on the site where someone orders that and how they manage that whole thing?
Yeah, you go to tenant placement right here. You can see I have one request open. And so you would go ahead and click this request leasing services and go through this step-by-step process. So I can go ahead and choose my property here, click on this, and then go ahead and click get started. And this is where I can choose what I want. And so if I choose tenant placement, then there's this lockbox that goes with it. So it's $100. You get to keep that lockbox and you can move it from property to property, but then you get to keep that digital lockbox. And we highly recommend just keeping it on site always. So you have a spare that we can change vendor codes and things like that, even if it's tenant occupied.
Okay. And so that lockbox doesn't need to connect to any Wi-Fi network. It just basically works off of their phone, right? The tenant's phone.
Yeah, exactly. So we have it's pins that are changing it, the code every single hour, and we get an API saying what is the code for this particular hour and for the showing. The showings are 30 minutes, but sometimes tenants show up a little bit early, sometimes they show up a bit late. And so that's why we will have that constantly change for us. Wi-Fi is an interesting one, Jason, because I know we're on a Hemlane demo, but I think the future with Starlink and stuff like that is that potentially Wi-Fi is a much better way to go. Right now, we've done our studies. Owners don't want to pay for the Wi-Fi install.
No, it's too hard to keep it connected and the router,
Exactly. Yeah.
But eventually it'll be through the cellular network hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. And then it will be a lot easier.
Okay. So this is one level of service, if you will. That's sort of a self-service with a little bit of backup. I'd call that one that you mentioned. Now, you have an upgraded service for that where there's an actual leasing agent, right?
Yep. So that's the local agent one. So you can go here and request a local agent. This is a licensed agent. So this is a licensed agent who specializes in leasing. We don't look for them to be good at buying and selling properties. We don't look for them to be great at property management. We are 100% focused on this leasing agent being able to help you find and place the tenant. And so we look for someone who focuses on leasing. Every market's slightly different. Some of them also do property management as well, but there's many markets, especially if you're in a tier 1, 2, or 3 city, where you have someone who's just focused on leasing, and that's what they do. Yeah.
So how much does it cost to hire them?
Yeah, great question. That one is market dependent, and we were told by the real estate bureaus that we cannot price set. So we can't give a flat rate. It's actually illegal in Department of Real Estate. So they each have to give their price. Typically, it's somewhere between 50% to 100% of 1 month's rent.
Okay. All right. So that's the two different levels of marketing and leasing and showing and tenant placement. Right. Okay. All right. Go on.
Yeah. And then you can always go here to your team and add your own agent or your own person to the property. That costs nothing. So you can add as many people and then, schedule showings when a tenant goes through. It will ask pre-qualification questions based on what your qualification questions are. But you could always do this yourself, Jason, and show the property yourself or have someone local show the property. And so you have that flexibility as well with it.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So that's the marketing. So that will go ahead and shoot off to all the listing websites. What's cool about that is all the tenants will come in here to prospective tenants. These come from all the listing websites. So Olivia may have come from, here's Olivia. She may come from, Zillow.com. You might have Emily here who came from apartments.com or Redfin. Or any other listing website. And then what we're doing is sending messages, and you can always click the messages here, trying to get them just pre-qualified. So this is not the application stage yet. This is just the showing stage of, is this person qualified for a showing? And should you go ahead and get a showing with them? Once you do, like this one had a showing on December 10th. After that, it will give you next steps of either clicking to invite to apply, or you could archive them if you want to archive them. And then there's plenty of more information in here. You can go in here and put private notes about the tenant. You can see what their expected move-in date is, where they came from. So if they came from Zillow or Trulia or PadMapper or apartments.com or realtor.com, it would show that here. And then you can message them and this will go through the steps of the process.
Okay, great. And then how do we pick them and get a contract signed with them?
Yep. So that's under, once you click invite to apply, they'll scooch on over from this tab to this tab and they'll go through the application. This one you'll see with Sophia says application not started. Once she does, we'll have all of this in here. So the average income ratio, do they have pets? Do they have any evictions on their record? What their credit score is? And you would see all of this in here filled out. We do a comprehensive credit report, background check, income verification, which I think is more rare than you would expect. They'd get the eviction report and the background check. So all of that would be in here. And after that, then you go to approved applicant. So this is it. I can go ahead and click finish lease. It will walk me through what I need to do. You can either upload your own lease into the agreement or use this template that we have. What's cool about this is you can go through and it pre-populates everything. So what I can see here is all of the information about the tenant. If they have pets or whatever their move-in date is, all of that is pre-populated into here. You can edit any of the terms you want, but you'll go through it and it will calculate the prorated rent, do the late fee charges, put the move-in fees in here, etc. All of that, it will auto-populate from what your listing said. Makes sense?
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. And so this creates a lease. And is that lease valid in every state?
Yeah, so these are going to be state and county specific. And so what you'll see here, if I go into, let me go into the standard clauses here. This is just asking if I want to add my own clause here. But once I actually, let me just pre-populate this lease for you. These are disclosures. Okay. If I click I agree, what's going to happen is it's going to generate this lease. This lease is going to be a county or state specific, and it has all the terms here up front. But then what you're going to see is it's 62 pages long. There's no signatures yet, but you can go through it and it has all of it will have all the terms in here as part of.
So for example, the lead paint disclosure, if you don't have an older house, you don't have to include that, right?
It wouldn't include it. Yeah, it wouldn't include it. And then under the standard clauses here, what you would see is, in this lease, it goes through every single clause, and you should be able to, in here with the clauses, you can go ahead and edit any of the clauses that you want with it. And I can kind of show you. Let me just delete draft. Let me just go ahead and send a new one. I need to create a lease. When I go through this process, what I'll see is all of the terms in here. And then I can go through here are the terms. Do you see all these? I could edit these, but these are all pre-populated and there's a ton of them with everything based on your county or state.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah. But you can go through and edit it. So hazardous material, so if you want to edit that clause, you could go through and change this. But this is a California specific one.
Right.
So this is talking about Prop 65. I could delete, edit, or change it at any time.
Okay, got it. And so that'll change based on the property's location. That's dynamic.
Yes, exactly. It's changing based on the property's location. And the ones where we have county specific is like Chicago, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, LA.
Places that are all super difficult to deal with. Yes,
exactly.
So okay, great. So I want to just speed along a little bit, Dana.
Yeah.
So now we've got the tenant. Now we need to get the lease signed. Is there a kind of a DocuSign style signing system?
Yeah. So once you resume and you say terms agreement, I agree with this, the tenant gets it for e-signature. They sign it first. Once they sign it, you get a task that says, now it's your turn to sign it, Jason. And then you sign it, and then it becomes mutually executed in the system. So we have the e-signature built into here.
Okay, great. Anything more before move-in, walkthrough forms, anything there?
We try to make it really easy. You click request funds, we'll prorate things, let you know what it's prorated for. You can edit any of those as you want, set up the recurring rent, just request rent. So we try to make this super easy for you so you can just go through and get Ken moved in right here.
Okay. All right, great. And Ken is our fictitious tenant. That's who we're talking about. Okay, great.
Yep.
So now the tenant has moved into the property. What do we need to do to manage them along the way? What if we have to serve them with a 3-day notice? What if they violated a covenant, like they put a pet in there, but they weren't supposed to have a pet? What about those things?
Yeah. So under services, there's this one called Eviction Shield here. This says you're protecting 9 properties with Eviction Shield and you have no tenants with past due rent. Now, this is just saying like you're protected. If for some reason a tenant is late on rent, you're going to get a mediator assigned. And the first thing they're going to do is reach out to the tenant to understand why are they late. And what they're trying to assess is get as much information from that tenant to let you know, Jason, is this going to have to go to court? Do we need to get the tenant on some sort of payment plan and do an early termination with them? Whatever it is, they're working through those steps. They also work through local government and there's church groups who will pay rent. So let's just say, Jason, your tenant lost their job and they're not getting a new one anytime soon. Our goal would be, how do we just get rent to you by figuring out who can pay this rent for them? Their parent, church group, someone to get that rent. And we would try to get an early termination negotiation with that tenant that you are agreeing to and saying, this is what I think as far as best steps. And the mediator will guide you through that, because the most costly thing is keeping them in there, going through court, etc., which we definitely do. We can serve the notice for you and have a process server serve the notice, but we're trying to make sure from a financial perspective, you have the minimal amount of impact. And obviously court can be quite expensive.
So Dana, this is great. Now we've got that tenant in, we've managed them, and we've really pretty much done the whole process, except we didn't talk much about rent collection. They can pay through your platform through an ACH, right?
Yep, they can do ACH. You could also, when you request money, your task will just set it up for you. But when you request rent, you can also do credit card or debit card. We put high risk there in alert because tenants can dispute that.
Yeah.
So we are always looking out for you to try to guide you through what's the happy path.
Okay. So what else do you want people to know? I mean, what I love about this is it's sort of like a pseudo property manager, but it's a kind of a tech-based property manager that isn't moody and it's transparent. So, for example, if there's a late fee that applies, you as the owner get the late fee, not the property manager. You're not splitting it with the property manager. It's really transparent. And that's what I really love about it. Maybe we didn't talk about repairs. That's one thing we didn't cover.
Yeah. So great. And just really quickly before we go into repairs, with financials, you're right. You can request money. You can send the security deposit back. You control everything. So you get to make the decisions. You also get all that late fees and everything else.
Yeah, and then if you, and I can't tell you the number of times I've had a property manager give back a security deposit, 100%. They just give it back. Yet the property was not in good condition and there should have been deductions.
Yeah. And you get that control. We also can sync with your bank account. So you can put all your transactions in here to help populate your cash flow statement and your income statement, your P&L. So you can go ahead and just sync your bank account to see how your properties are performing. But maintenance and repair is the next one. So our most beloved thing is, if I go here under instructions, it's going through and filling out how you want us to handle things. Again, you are in the driver's seat. You can choose exactly what you want us to do. So think of us as your personal admins who are specialized in how to do repair coordination. What I mean by that is it's not a call center. You're not going to call some call center and they're going to be like, great, let me take a message and push this back on Jason. They're going to go and troubleshoot. They're going to look at liability. You don't want a tenant on a ladder where they could fall off and sue you. And so they're going to go through and make sure that the repair coordination is very professionally done. You can put standard and emergency thresholds in here and dispatch preferences. So you can go ahead and dispatch however you want and who you want for different trades. Or if you don't
it's really incredible. Yeah. I mean, that is awesome. This is better than the software a lot of the actual property management companies use. There's just transparency. You're dealing direct, it's like all the benefits of having a manager, but none of the downsides, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's what we try to do, is make it where, like, if you want to send out your handyman for electrical work, we wouldn't recommend it. We have to send out someone who's licensed and insured. But if you put your handyman in here and you say, I'm comfortable with that liability,
you can use your own person. Yeah.
You can use your own person. And then you can set up repair billing, which is really cool because we use a single use credit card that maps to your bank account. It doesn't cost you anything. and we'll pay the service professional exactly what the invoice is based on your thresholds. And we also send like hide from tenant, but tell the owner, hey, this service professional that you use looks like they're screwing you over. The cost is really high. And then you can decide if you want to get rid of them if something like that happens.
Excellent.
So that's all part of that process. Yeah.
Okay, great. Dana, this is fantastic. I want to keep it kind of short and sweet. And we've got a special offer link because we are in with Hemlane. We are a Hemlane affiliate, and that is jasonhartman.com/Hemlane for special offer discounts. And Dana, what else do you want people to know?
And then the last thing is you can just get any of your reports from here. You can download what you need with your rental property just to see how it's performing. And then we have phenomenal customer support. So if you want to call us for anything, they'd love to jump on a call with you. They even get on calls with your tenants to get them set up. And then when you do go through Jason Hartman, just mention Jason Hartman because you do get 20% off your first year.
Yeah. So again, that link for the special discounts, and I really have to say special service. Thank you for taking such good care of our people, Dana. It's jasonhartman.com/Hemlane. I can attest to what Dana just said. Her phone people are great. They're based in Canada, not some faraway country with bad English. They're based in Canada, and they've been very helpful. Our people have raved about the level of service they get. So thank you for that.
That's great to hear. And we hope I'll have you all on Hemlane for a new way to manage your rental properties.
Good stuff. jasonhartman.com/Hemlane. Dana, thank you so much for talking to us about this today.
Thanks so much for having me.